Okay, so today we're diving deep into, you guessed it, Drake's new look.
The pigtails with the bows.
Yeah, those are the ones. And I gotta say, the internet is like on fire right now.
It's wild, isn't it? Like one selfie and suddenly everyone's a fashion critic.
I know, right? And it's not like Drake hasn't experimented with his look before.
True, he's had some, shall we say, interesting phases.
But this just hits different somehow. Maybe it's the pigtails themselves, like they're so unexpected.
Yeah, you don't really see that every day, especially not on someone like Drake.
I feel like this is tapping into something deeper, you know? Like, what does it even mean for a man to be masculine in 2024?
You're definitely onto something there. I mean, think about all the ways men are expected to look and act, especially in hip hop.
It's like there's this very narrow box, and if you step outside of it even a little bit, people freak out.
And the Snoop Dogg comparisons haven't helped, have they?
Oh my God, don't even get me started on that. It's like everyone's suddenly a hip-hop historian pulling up pictures of Snoop with pigtails from the 90s.
Which is kind of hilarious when you think about it.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But it also makes you wonder, like, is Drake doing this on purpose? Is he making some kind of statement? Or is he just messing with us?
I mean, who knows with Drake? But either way, it's got people talking and thinking, which is never a bad thing.
Definitely. It's sparking some interesting conversations about gender and self-expression and all that good stuff.
And at the end of the day, isn't that what art is supposed to do? Make you think, make you feel, make you question.
Absolutely. So let's unpack this a little bit more, shall we?
Right.
What do you make of all this?
Well, I think it's really interesting how much attention this is getting. You know, it's just hair.
Right, but it's like it's become this whole symbol.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
people are projecting all sorts of things onto it.
It's like we're hardwired to read into these things, you know? Especially when it comes to celebrities.
Oh, absolutely. Every little thing they do is under a microscope.
Which I get, to some extent. Like, they're public figures, people are interested.
Sure, but it's also kind of scary, right? Like the level of scrutiny, the pressure to be perfect all the time.
And the judgment when they're not.
Exactly. It's like people forget that celebrities are human beings with feelings and insecurities.
It's so easy to forget that, especially in the age of social media.
Right, like everyone's a critic, everyone has an opinion, and they're not afraid to share it no matter how harsh.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
And you have to wonder, like, what does that do to a person's psyche? To have every little thing you do analyzed and dissected like that.
Seriously, it's got to take a toll.
Yeah.
And it's not just about celebrities either, you know? It's like this whole culture of judgment and negativity that we've created.
It's exhausting.
Tell me about it. So yeah, Drake's pigtails, they might seem like just a hairstyle on the surface, but I think they're tapping into something much deeper.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like they're forcing us to confront these unspoken rules, these expectations about how men should look and act.
Exactly. And maybe, just maybe, by challenging those rules, Drake's starting a conversation, you know?
Hopefully one that's long overdue.
I think so too. It's 2024, people. Can't we be past this whole narrow definition of masculinity thing?
Seriously, let people express themselves. Let men wear pigtails if they want to. Who cares?
Right, as long as they're not hurting anyone, who are we to judge?
And you know what? Maybe, just maybe, this whole thing will inspire some people to be a little braver, a little more themselves.
I hope so. The world needs more individuality, more people willing to be authentically themselves, pigtails or not.
Preach.
Yeah.
So where do we go from here? What do you think this means for the future of, like, men's fashion, men's expression?
It's hard to say, you know. Fashion is always changing, always evolving.
That's true. But it does feel like we're at a bit of a turning point, right? Like people are more open to breaking down these old barriers, these outdated ideas about gender and expression.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a shift happening. You see it in the way young people are dressing, the language they're using.
That's refreshing, isn't it?
Totally. And, you know, it's not just about fashion, it's about everything. Like, we're finally starting to question these rigid, outdated norms that have been holding us back for so long.
And it's about time. So where does Drake fit into all of this? Do you think he's consciously trying to push these boundaries? Or is it more like he's just doing his thing and we're the ones reading all this meaning into it?
I think it's probably a bit of both, to be honest. You know, he's obviously aware of the impact he has, the influence he wields.
Oh, for sure. Anything he does is going to get magnified, analyzed, debated.
Exactly. So whether it's intentional or not, he's sparking these conversations, and that's a good thing.
It is, even if it starts with something as seemingly superficial as pigtails.
Right. It's like, who knew a hairstyle could be so powerful?
Only Drake, I guess. So what's the takeaway here? What do we want our listeners to walk away thinking about?
I think the biggest takeaway is that self-expression is important, and it
Hmm.
can take many forms. It's not always about making a grand statement or trying to change the world.
Sometimes it's just about wearing what you want, how you want, because it makes you feel good.
Exactly. And if that happens to challenge a few norms along the way, well, that's just a bonus.
I love that. Embrace your individuality, challenge the status quo, and never be afraid to rock your own version of pigtails, blue bows, or whatever makes you feel your most authentic self.
Well said. And on that note, I think we've done our due diligence on Drake's hair for one day.
We've reached peak pigtail. But seriously, this has been a fascinating conversation. Thanks for lending your insights, as always.
My pleasure. Until next time, stay curious and don't be afraid to stand out from the crowd.
And remember, you don't need pigtails to be a trendsetter. Just be yourself. That's a wrap on this deep dive, folks. Catch you on the flip side.